Hello, my beautiful Aries. How are you doing, darling? My name is SimplyVelca, and today, honey, we're going to get into a you versus them tarot reading, darling. We're going to see how your feelings are, how their feelings are, darling. And I'm going to see through tarot, see what kind of predictions we can make with this, see what insight we have with tarot, darling, right? But keep in mind that when it comes to tarot cards, darling, I'm just a man reading them to you, right? Tarot cards can never get all the nuances of a human relationship, especially when it's a general reading. So remember, at the end of the day, I'm always going to support you, Aries, in whatever decisions you make, because you know your situation better than I ever possibly could. You know your emotions. You know what it is you can handle, darling. Remember as well, it doesn't matter what you identify as, whether you identify as he, she, they, them, anything outside of that spectrum or inside that spectrum, darling. If the cards resonate with you, they're going to resonate with you. So also keep in mind, Aries, I do your weekly tarot readings as well. I'll leave a link to that in the top right hand corner of the screen. But let's just jump into your reading now. Let's see what's going on with y'all, darling Aries. Let's see what's up with y'all, right? I'm going to do one last shuffle, and then let's split this. Yeah, let's get into this. Let's see how you're feeling right now, Aries. Ace of Swords coming in here, darling, with the Six of Wands. Ooh, I like where this is going, darling. And then we have the Seven of Swords coming in here. Okay, Aries. Okay, Aries. So I see from your perspective right now, right? I still like where this is going, right? If you all are familiar with tarot at all, Aries, I mean, don't feel bad if you don't, but Seven of Swords is my job to tell you. But with the Seven of Swords, this is usually like a card of like distrustfulness, darling. And so, Aries, I still like this energy because I feel like this is what you're coming out of, especially with how these other cards are complementing it with that Ace of Swords and that Six of Wands, Aries. This is showing to me this sense of where you're very standoffish with this energy here. You didn't know quite how to perceive this. You didn't know how to quite read this person. Maybe you were like reading their body language or what have you, or just they were giving you mixed signals, Aries, and you're just like, you were standoffish, understandably. Right? And so, I don't feel as if necessarily anything directly happened. I could be wrong, darling, right? We still have some more cards to be pulling for you later. But it just feels as if like we're coming out of this place of just overall distrustfulness, right? If we're going to just call a spade, darling, you weren't really sure where this situation was going to be going into the future, right? If we're going to take away the distrustfulness energy and just put it in a sense of where you weren't quite sure if this connection was going to be lasting too much longer, Aries, you're at this place of being like, oh, well, if this doesn't work out, I guess this doesn't work out, right? May have been a little bit of anxiety in regards to this, because I do see you guys liking this energy a lot. With this Ace of Swords here and this Six of Wands, this is why I say it's going to be working out pretty fabulously, darling. Some type of I just got shown if you have an iPhone, Aries, you'll know like the text message when you have someone's text message open and they send a text message and it's like that broop sound. I just heard that sound come in my head, and so Lord knows it's not my messages, honey. It's dry as heck in my text messages, darling. So don't mind me, I had coffee. So I almost feel as if, this might be a sign for, I would be saying around like 45% of you Aries, where it's just like, you guys haven't been really communicating. Even for my Aries and my 55%, if there was communication here, it doesn't feel like it was very good, just because you have this perspective where you're just like very standoffish with this, darling. So I like this a lot, especially with the Six of Wands here. This is a card of where it's just like things turning out very nicely, right? It's a card of you being noticed. That's why it makes sense to me why you would have I feel like some type of communication coming in on their side. So enough about that, right? We talk about how communication is going to be coming on their side. What does that even mean, right? Let's see. Well, we know what that means. Let's see from their perspective now. What is up, darling? We have the Judgment card, darling, right off the bat. This is the card of action, honey. Judgment card, Nine of Wands, and the Five of Cups coming in here. So Aries, this is interesting because I know in your most recent weekly reading that I did for you of the time of me recording this, I believe it was y'all's reading, Aries, where I was honing in on some sense of apology coming in here. So it seems to be bleeding into this reading here for my fabulous Aries. So this makes me really happy. The Nine of Wands here with this Five of Cups, there's definitely something that caused a little bit of friction, a little bit of fissure between y'all two, Aries. I just heard like perspective. So maybe you guys maybe had like the same goal in mind, but you guys were communicating things in a bad way, or I don't want to say bad way, but it's just like you guys were communicating on two different wavelengths, and just it was never like fully connecting, darling. So I like this a lot. It does feel as if, especially with the Judgment card, with that Five of Cups, it's a nice complementary energy, Aries, where they're just like, all right, this happened. Maybe you guys weren't talking for a little bit, especially, I do feel like with these readings, admittedly, this is heavily into romance, right? That these readings are going to be skewed to. But I actually do feel like for many of you guys, this is more so what you would regard as to like your best friend or your person. It's giving me very much so that vibe of just like, when your best friends, you guys end up getting into a fight with your best friend, you don't talk for a little bit, and then it's just like you come back together and you're just like, oh, I love you so much. I'm sorry. We should, like, why did it take us so long to talk again? Like, let's not ever go back to where that all was from before, Aries. So I like this a lot because Nine of Wands here, it shows to me that they're hurting, right? And so it's just like there is this sense of Aries where even if they're not showing it currently right now for you, Aries, it does show to me this sense of like pain. Right now they're just licking their wounds, so if there isn't communication right now due to some type of tiff that you guys might have gone in, Aries, just give this a little bit more time, right? Because I do see them taking action once they because it just feels like they need some space, darling. They need some space for what happened. Now I know for some of you Aries, you might be like, well, why do they need space? I'm the one that's feeling some type of way, right? Again, it's a matter of perspective, right? Just as valid as your emotions are, they have their own reasons to why they're acting the way that they're acting as well, Aries. So let's get into this deeper. How is this going to pan out while we connect these two energies together, darling? How is this energy going to come together, Aries? Keep in mind as well, I have a very positive outlook when it comes to things, Aries, but when it comes to relationships in general, I'm always going to give you what I see in the cards from a very positive outlook. But then we're also going to have that moment where we're going to have that real talk as like, if you don't have that best friend to tell you what, tell you the tea, honey, and that's going to be me, darling, right? So I will do my best in not projecting my own personal opinions, my own thoughts on this, and I'll wait until my time comes, right? So just keep that in mind, Aries. So we have the Sun card, darling. It's the best card in the deck. This is turning out to be fabulous. I also feel like we want this one as well. I'm feeling so connected with these cards, honey. The Magician card, the Knight of Wands, with the Three of Cups coming in here. So there might have been some type of situation, Aries, that very interesting. Like it's not going to be for everybody. I just saw the number 25, so maybe for like 25%. Y'all know, if you're not new to my channel, Aries, like I love percentages. It makes sense for my Libra brain, even if it doesn't for anybody else. So I feel like for like 25% of you guys, there's some type of energy involved in this. I don't feel as if, I'm not going to get into like the narratives of just like there's like some type of side piece, honey, and all of that, right? That's just like, girl, we'll save that for Maury, right? Maybe that's the case for some of you guys, but you'll know it, you girl. But I'm getting very much so just a heavy vibe of where it's just like maybe parents or just like someone's friends. Like it feels like there was some type of outside influence that may have been part of the issue here. This card wanted to come out as well. Knight of Swords coming in here. So two different knights. This is showing to me very, knights are very youthful energy, Aries. So this is just this sense here of where it's like maybe there's like whatever this energy that was involving itself is just very immature energy. You couldn't really communicate with it, Aries. And so it does feel as if like, and again, it could just be the two of y'all, like you exuding the Knight of Wands and they exuding the Knight of Swords, Aries. But it's just giving me this nice situation here of where it's just like once you two do come together, I feel like that's when like this is like almost essential for you guys to go through this break period, to go through this time of where you guys weren't really speaking to each other, weren't really talking to one another, right? So the only thing I do want to say here, Aries, is just because you have this distrustful energy over here and they have this hurtful energy over here, both of you guys feel justified in the pain and how you're handling things currently. So I say this just because I want like the number one thing that will kill a relationship, platonic or romantic, is just this sense of where you feel like you're not being understood, you feel like you're not being heard, and we'll internalize actions being done. And I feel like that might be happening from both ends, where it's just like things feel very personal because they are, darling. It's your life. They're your emotions. Whatever happened to you, darling, it's none of my business, right? But so just keep this in mind, where it's just like, there's no malevolent energy here. There's no just like shadiness on either side here. I feel like, again, it's just a matter of perspective, and you both just need to remind each other and yourselves, really have a conversation with yourselves in the mirror. Send this video to your friend, darling, if it's relevant, darling. I don't expect to really get anyone saying, like, oh, I sent this video to this person, Velka, and it worked out. But I feel like both of you guys need to just remind yourself that you're on the same team, that you're fighting up for the same thing, Aries. And I feel like somehow this kind of got muddied, right? There's some waters it's not going to make, I like to share, like, I'm getting more better at sharing what it is I'm being shown, because it might be some relevance to people, but it's just like, I'm being shown like the old, it's like in the early 2000s, there's like Battlefield. I think it's a computer game. I think it's still around now, but it's like old school Battlefield, Vietnam, and like, I'm being shown like different sceneries of like just dirty water and just like the music playing in my head. So it does feel as if just things were somehow turned muddy. And I feel like part of what turned things muddy was just this outside energy here. So again, I don't feel comfortable getting into like this portion of it, because y'all will know, Aries, what it's about, because I don't feel like there's any secrets here. But with the Sun card and the Magician card, if you guys are willing to put in the work for this, you guys are both willing to, it involves two people, right? It takes two people to tango, darling. As long as you both are able to remember that you guys are fighting on the same team. I see such fabulousness when it comes to this, Aries. I really see this really working out in a very nice way. So this is very fabulous, darling. Let's continue on with this, though. I feel drawn to be doing a few more cards to this. What heads up do we need to get? What advice do we need to give my Aries in regards to this? Girl, the cards just decide to come out, honey. I'm telling you, I'm feeling real connected to these cards right now, Aries. And we're getting 4 cards for you. So we have the 4 Swords, the 7 of Wands, King of Swords, and this 5 of Wands here. Again, it feels as if, Aries, like, if it was just up to you two, like, if there was no other energies involved, like, y'all would just have just such a lovely connection. Y'all would be able to just make things work out. And it may be just on the, like, you may be receiving this reading, Aries, and you're just like, well, girl, like, I don't talk to anybody else, honey, so what you mean, this other energy? I do feel as if you don't know who this is, I feel like it's someone in their life that they might be talking to, like maybe a friend, maybe a family. There's something that might be influencing their perspective. Before I get too out of pocket with this message here, let me pull another card to confirm what this or not. King of Pentacles. Yeah, it does feel as if someone else who feels like they might know the situation, girl, is giving me very much so the vibe, Aries, where it's just like, yeah, you have to watch for these friends, darling, who don't want to see a thriving relationship. It's one of those things where it's like they feel like they know things best, and it's just like, oh, like, and from their point of view, Aries, it's almost as if someone's like feeding information to them or just telling them a perspective, but it's not trying to be neutral. It's not trying to, this person's not seeing things from both sides, and this is very much so being like, oh yeah, like, it's like that friend to be like, you'll talk about your problems to them about a person, and they're just like, oh girl, just dump them, just do whatever, just dismiss them, block them, whatever. And it's never with this person that it's just like, oh, you should talk to them, you should see their point of view, or what have you. The only thing I want to just give you guys a heads up on from these cards, Wheel of Fortune, yeah, this is like directly figure out how communicate with them, Aries, in terms of being like what their perspective is and like how they get to their perspective. Obviously, don't flat out ask them, be like, girl, what friend do you have that's like a hater, right, or what have you, because obviously that's just not gonna fly, darling. But I do feel as if it's important for you to kind of take them out of their bubble, because it does feel as if this Aries, this person here, is like in some type of bubble, and they're just hearing someone that they trust, someone that they care about their perspective enough to listen to it, seems to be skewing their vision. So definitely be on the lookout for that. If, again, like, I do feel as if, Aries, if this energy was just about y'all two, if this was just about you two, personality wise and what have you, I feel like this connection would just flow so naturally. It would be just so lovely, darling. But it does seem to be just like someone in their life, Aries, someone or something seems to just be a distraction that is kind of being counterproductive towards y'all's interest, y'all's goal for just making things work out. Does that make sense for you guys, Aries? So Do we feel like we need to pull any more cards for this, Aries? Honestly, you know what? Let me actually get into like I just heard intentions. So what are their intentions when it comes to communicating with you, Aries? Like what can we expect how the conversation's going to go with y'all? We have the Queen of Swords as well as the Knight of Pentacles and the Fool card. So it's interesting, Aries. If you are wanting to fight for this, it's Ten of Swords in the back of the deck. If you are really wanting to fight for this connection, Aries, this is someone who really is like at this point of like kind of like it's like they might communicate with like the anticipation where they might have to just start all over again, you know, move on from this. So it's very much so giving me like coming in with like a defeatist, but also at the same time, they might come off as like critical or cold energy because that's just their way of emotionally detaching from the situation. So it doesn't hurt as much. So just be on the lookout for that, Aries. Like, you know, you might experience some coldness initially when they start communicating with you or just like some distance, darling. And that's just, it has nothing to do with you, Aries. And just has everything to do with them trying to just protect their own heart and protect their own emotions. It's like they're telling themselves being like, oh, well, Aries doesn't want anything to do with me, so let me just get this over with. Let me have this final conversation and have the closure with this. It's very interesting, darling. So yeah, Aries, that's the reading that I have for you. Hopefully you found some cards that were helpful. Hopefully this gave you some food for thoughts, darling, when it comes to this person. Remember, if you would like to book a private personal reading with me, Aries, my website's linked down below, simplyvelca.com. Next to my social medias, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that, darling. If you did enjoy this reading today, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe because it does help me out a lot, Aries. And I'll be connecting with y'all sometime in the near future. I love you so much, Aries. Bye.